good morning, everyone. You've got the love. We're going to try to share some love this morning. We're coming to you live on Sunday morning, and I'm your host, Cindy Lou Jones, and I'm joined in studio today with my lovely co-host, Katie Sabagian, who is the owner of Your Soul Symphony and a spiritual psychologist who has really enlightened and touched the lives of so many people, and she's touched mine as well, and I'm going to gain some strength from her today. This isn't the best day for me, you guys, because I'm coming to you with a story. You know, I always have a story to tell. Every Sunday I come in with stories, and usually they're fun, and you know, they give us something to be inspired by, to talk about. The story that I'm going to share today, though, you know, is something that isn't fun, and it's representative of a lot of ugliness in the world, and it is something that, you know, I'd rather not be here to discuss, but it's something that's very important. So let me introduce the people in my room with me today. Forgive me if I sound a bit down. I am a little down, but they're gonna uplift me.
Purpose today as well. We have a huge purpose.
We do.
Yeah.
I want to welcome you, Katie. Thank you for being here next to me. I love you. Mike Kennedy, comedian extraordinaire. I want to welcome you for being here. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Mike held a roasted Sheriff Joe last night.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you, Mike. I really am so proud. Mike's light is just shining really bright. He's on the road to super comic stardom, and you know, you guys are hearing him here, and we're really blessed to have you here and give us your funny side and make us smile every Sunday.
I'm happy to be here and not arrested.
Yeah, because what we heard after the show, you have to keep that quiet. We discussed that stays off air.
Yeah.
But you know, Mike had a good time, so I'm glad, Mike. I'm really glad. Dr. Maria Garay is here from the Sojourner Center. The Sojourner Center is one of the largest domestic violence centers in the nation. So, I mean, it's huge for her to have come in. You know, she came in at short notice. I called her up and I told her the story. And the story is something that took place this week, Tuesday night. The Sanders family, Carol Sanders, her daughter Audra, and Carol's brother Tom Fitzpatrick were brutally murdered in their home. And I'm going to tell you more about the story, but I called Maria because Carol and Audra were friends of mine. We were a circle of friends, mothers who had their children going to school together. I saw little Audra grow up from kindergarten to teenager, and you know, that news hit me very hard, as it hit a lot of America hard, because I found myself wondering, why would a woman find herself in a position like that in this city, in this state, in this nation? Where is she protected? And I called Dr. Garay because I knew that the Sojourner Center had a fantastic reputation, and I called to get information. I wanted to find out what could anybody do if they found themselves in this situation. So I'm going to introduce Maria to you. Thank you, Maria, for coming in. Hi there.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
I really appreciate you taking the time. You know, she gave up her Sunday to do this with us.
It's so exciting to have you here, and you just got this amazing energy about you. You really do, and you can really feel her strength.
Right.
And it's so wonderful to have that here in the studio.
Well, this is a very important issue, a priority.
It is.
Us as
It became a priority for me. I'm not going to get into the details of their death. I don't want to get into that ugly story, because anyone that's tuning in today has most likely heard it. But what I do invite you to do, if you want to know about the details of the murder that took place, you can Google that information and look up Carol Sanders. I don't want today to be about that. What I want to tell you, though, is about Carol. I want to tell you what she was like and what type of beautiful person she was.
And you would know that, right, Cindy, because you had a tighter connection to her than a lot of people on, you know, the news has, and
sure,
you know what they've kind of been dispelling out there, right?
Known her for the last 7 years.
Wow.
So we had a circle of friends and mothers that banded together, you know, and we shared our stories, because our little girls, we all were mothers of little girls, went to school and let me give a shout out to the school, because it's a beautiful school, Sequoia Elementary. It was wonderful, and our little girls went to school together, and, you know, little kindergartners starting, all of us moms were afraid, and I don't know how this happened, but God works in these ways where he pulls people together. And we met in the parking lot, actually, all of us. And so we began this little morning routine and afternoon routine. We'd pick up our kids together because, of course, then you don't drop them off. You walk them in and you walk them out. You know,
Right.
that's what you do, like their whole grade school. And Carol was this very somber, very intelligent-looking woman that it was just kind of stoic, you know, but so loving and doting to her mom. And also her husband, Mike, was always doting and very, very protective of his child. And as I got to know her throughout the years, we would do birthday parties together, and we would do, you know, sometimes we'd get together after hours and just do mom things. She didn't have a lot of time. And there always seemed to be a sense of something wasn't right. She was a person that wouldn't open up and tell you her secrets easily, as all the other women in the circle did. You know, we're wearing our hearts on our sleeve. She wasn't one of those. But she did eventually open up. And I would say, you know, what's wrong? And some of my other dear friends, Dan and Michelle, you know, everyone in the circle, especially my friend Michelle, who may be calling in today, she really got into Carol's heart. And Carol would say, I need to leave my husband. You know, we didn't really understand because he seemed very nice, but there was a feeling of maybe control, narcissism, you know, somewhat of an aggressive attitude. He put some people off right away, but he was doting to his daughter, so he didn't quite comprehend what was going on. Well, she said, well, how would you feel if, you know, you came home from work and your husband was sitting there with a loaded shotgun, cleaning it out, looking at you menacing, saying, if you leave, you know, like that. He would do things like that. One time she came home and there was a plastic bag, a rope, a chainsaw, and handcuffs.
And you know what? That's actually really a good thing to bring up. So, Dr. Maria, if that happens, you know, if a woman walks in and that happens, what do you do? Do you just let it go? I mean, because that's the first sign, right?
Right.
That's sign number one. So what do you do in sign number one?
And I do bet you there were other signs. And let me get to Maria. Hold on to that for a second, because I just want to get out a couple things just about Carol and Audra. Audra was a different child. She was like innocent and beautiful and precious and sweet, as all children are. But Audra seemed to have like a grip on things. Do you know what I mean? Like, she just seemed to be her mother's strength, and Carol was so protective of Audra. Whatever was going on in that house, she really tried to have a very normal, healthy upbringing for her. And I don't know that Audra even saw a lot of abuse or anything like that going on, maybe until later in her teendom. So she did have what seemed to be a happy childhood. And
she was like her mother's reassurance in a way.
They were two peas in a pod.
That's so cute.
It was really, really a beautiful relationship. So I want to get that across, that there was happiness there. There was joy there. Carol was such a strong woman and such a good woman that she held that motherly, loving side to keep any ugliness, I think, away from Audra for many, many years. And I just want people to know that about her. So the one thing, Maria, is when you have a strong and educated woman, by the way, she financially supported her man.
Wow. And you said she had a PhD or a master's?
I'm not sure about her education level, so I don't want to quote that as true.
Okay.
But she had a very high position, and she was the one that financially supported everyone. So here's a couple of things that have come up in questions I hear from listeners. I've read it all over Google. There's been some disparaging things going on. Some of the things they've asked are, well, why in the world would she have gone back into a home to get her belongings from a man that she had a protective order against with her child without a police escort? I'm going to give you my perspective, and then I'd like your professional opinion. I think she felt safe if she was with her daughter because he had never harmed the daughter. There had been an incident a month before in which he had threatened them at gunpoint. So I have a question, why wasn't he in jail? So you have these questions going. Why did she go back to the home? Well, what they don't know is that was a very manipulative man. That's why no one really saw how angry and aggressive he was. He was very, very nice on the outside. He had gone to the judge that morning. He had said, I don't have any guns. I've sold my guns. Here are the receipts for the guns. I don't wish them any harm. I'm going to go along with what you say. He was very calm, cool, and collected that morning when they had a court hearing. That was telling him that he could only have supervised visits with his child. Carol at that time, I don't know, I'm assuming that she somehow felt safe. When they went to the home, his car was not there. He was not in the home. The brother was parked outside the truck. She felt she had some sort of protection because her brother was there. But what happened was this man had a vendetta because I guess it's a control issue. He had decided that this was the time that he was going to take their lives, and he actually ambushed them. They didn't have a chance. So what do we do? What do we do to protect our women and our children in a situation like this, Maria? What could Carol have done differently? And because it's too late for Carol, let's shed some light on what could have happened, but let's also help anyone who has a situation where they're living in fear. She was living in fear. If I asked her throughout the years, why can't you leave him, Carol? Come on. She would say, he will kill me, period. He will kill me. Couple things to think about. She was the sole provider financially because we all of the friends were like, why didn't you leave? Go to another state and, take your daughter and run. Go to another country. Disappear. Do what you have to do to survive. Here's the thing. How do you survive without an income? She had an income. She had a job. She had retirement. And these are things that you have to think about when you're a mother. She has to take all the variables into play. So with all of that knowledge I'm handing over to you, help us shed some light. When a woman is in a situation where she's going to have to protect her child, where does she go? Who does she call? Can she be safe from a tyrant?
I think in this situation, it is very difficult to say that she could have been saved completely. And I love what you said, that she felt that if she went back to the home with her daughter and her brother, in her mind she felt that that was not going to happen to her, that she was safe because he had never done anything to him. And so I really would love to go to a place where we talk about recommendations for women in similar situations like her, because I think it's important for not to re-victimize women.
Okay.
And for us to condemn and judge because we don't know her fear. But what we would recommend is that if you are going to go back to the abuser's home, that you don't do that. And that if for whatever reason you're compelled to do that, to make sure you call the police and that the police escort you.
Is it mandatory that the police will do that anyway, or is it something you have to ask for?
You have to ask for that. The order of protection does not say we are going to be there every time, so we recommend that you call. We also recommend that you never go back to that location once you've chosen and you've been able to leave. But if you're in a situation like this, there are phenomenal programs in Phoenix. Sojourner Center is set up to take women who don't have a place to go, crisis shelter for up to 120 days.
Wow.
With your children. So you can come to us with your children.
You can actually stay there.
You can stay there.
Okay, now, if a woman had a job, see, one thing she did say, she was afraid he'd come to her work and shoot up everybody. I'm serious now. This came out of her mouth.
It's the same guys who do that same thing. The guys who shoot up their own workplace are the same guys who kill their families.
So what would you advise her if she had come to you? So if she said to me, Cindy, I can't leave because he'll kill me, is that in fact something that is true? In other words, if she comes to you, is she safe as long as she doesn't go to a job where she knows he's at? In other words, is that true? Do we call the police? Do we tell the police, hey, this man, what can the police do to intervene? What kind of,
So what we would do is do safety planning for her or any other woman in her situation and really help her create a safety plan.
What's a safety plan? Give me some
examples is, we would recommend not to go back to the place of the abuse. We recommend that actually you remove yourself from that community. And I think at the workplace, that is another opportunity for us as a community to do something. There are many women who are experiencing domestic violence and going to the workplace because this issue impacts all women, no matter your religion, no matter your education. And we know this from this case. So I think the workforce also has an obligation to look at what are they doing about domestic violence, what are their policies, what are their systems. Why couldn't she go to work and ask for help? I think that's an excellent question.
Is that something too, where sometimes if women tell their employer about that, then sometimes the employer goes, you know what, we don't want to deal with it. And we'll
Exactly.
let it go. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure she had a very
'Cause it's a
supportive.
liability if you tell your employer and then.
I'm sure that she had very supportive friends at her workplace of employment. The question that I have is the Arizona, let's say, court systems, our protective agencies. I think, and I'm looking at a mother's standpoint, is I've got to take care of my child financially. I need to feel safe. For me, if it were me, I might want to flee the state, flee the country. Now, he was given, I think she had custody of the child, or they were going through a divorce type of thing. He was given supervised visitation. So in reality, legally, let's talk about legally. Legally, she couldn't just pick up and fly the coop, because she could actually be arrested for child stealing, right? Correct? Is that true, Maria?
Yeah, yes, and thank you for bringing that up, because that's one of the more kind of critical issues that we need to look at in the field of domestic violence. When there are children involved, the fathers are still protected. They still have the right to do visitations with their children, and it creates
okay.
It's not okay.
Because here's the thing, and this is going to really piss me off now. Okay, it's not okay when puts a gun to a child's head and a mother's head on a desert ground, which is what he did a month before, and he gets any right to that child and is still walking without jail time. Now, you tell me why that's occurring in Arizona. I need to know an answer, and I need to know what we can do to change that.
But it's happening across the country. Women in domestic violence situations, when they have children, and the fathers still have the right to see them in unsupervised visitations at times. And I think what we need to do as a community really is to collect ourselves and to really challenge our legislators.
Well, the legislation failed her. You do realize that. I'm going to say it now, and I've heard a lot of comments about that. One thing is legislation failed her. If you're too afraid to leave and go to a shelter such as a Sojourner Center and feel you're protected, that man should not have been walking around this city. Period. Because he's a danger not to her and the daughter and the brother. He was a danger to everybody. You tell me what we could have done. Should she have filed charges against him and didn't? I mean, well, what does somebody do? We can't feel helpless here.
No, and I think many women who are in a situation like she was in are very fearful to really press charges. Sometimes it takes women years to even get the courage.
Could a friend press charge?
No.
You're kidding me.
It has to be her.
Because if he's not abusing you,
you're taking the word of someone else. It's
well,
like
what do we
hearsay.
do
It's
what do we do when a month ago he holds a gun to the child's head and her head and threatens to kill
Cindy,
them?
you realize in a court of law, though, that that's what your friend said. There's no evidence that he did that.
The child said it too.
Okay, and she went to court to say that?
She filed a protection order with that.
both
I don't know if she.
yeah. I mean, if
I'm
she
assuming she didn't go to the police and say, I want to press charges against him.
Yeah.
Yes, Katie?
And I have a question. When you first see the signs, like putting that gun and staring, at her and, just little small things like that, which are actually really big, what do you do then before it even continues on?
Well, let me answer the question about the child. If somebody had seen that happened and this child, somebody had called the Child Protective Services, they would have intervened. If the mother didn't press any charges, if the child didn't say anything, then it's hard for the law enforcement to take action.
Everyone's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. So that's one piece. I think when you are beginning a relationship, women inherently know something is off.
You want to still listen to that inner voice.
That gut
it.
feeling.
It's always there. You're saying it's always there.
When you meet that man or that woman and you they look at you a little different.
Yeah.
Your friends tell you he's a little
something's
controlling.
off.
He's something, because you said that too.
When there's that lack of
something-
balance in a relationship too, where you're saying she made a lot of money, he made nothing. It's also the opposite way, where the guy makes a lot of money and the woman doesn't make a lot of money. He knows he can control her.
Anywhere where there's control.
Yeah.
And in this situation, I will tell you firsthand, there was a lot of control. There was control over the mother. There was control over the daughter.
That's the only way he could control his wife, because he couldn't control her with money.
Well, that's
So he controlled her with
that's
fear.
what became his vengeance. His his vengeance became ultimately he could no longer control the woman because she wasn't living in the home. He could no longer control the child, and he decided, if I can't control you, I'm going to take you out.
Yes.
And he did it in a very, very, very heinous and hellacious way.
And so, as you were saying, listen to those gut feelings. That's what you're basically saying, correct?
You've got to listen, and from the beginning, you know, the whole prevention. But if you're in it,
it's hard to speak.
It's harder to speak. And what happens is it is such a horrific issue for communities to speak about. It's just a hard issue to talk about. Mm-hmm. But what we need to do is be brave, like you're doing today, and bring it out.
Okay. It's not easy to do.
Tear the walls down, voice the secret, allow women to speak about it, allow children to speak about it without condemnation, without judgment, because then you shut people down.
Well, understand that even to do the show, I didn't get the support that I would have liked to have gotten, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's an ugly subject, because it makes us hurt. It makes our stomachs hurt. I haven't slept in 3 days, you know. Katie knows. Katie and I were dear sweet friends. It's caused friction for us because for a moment we've gotten through that, but it's because I was not myself. I was hurting. And, you know, it's very difficult to deal with this type of story. It's not a story that I want to carry, but I decided I had to make a decision that I have a medium here, I have a vehicle. It will soon be archived on YouTube for however long anybody wants this information. So let's make this show very meaningful and worthwhile. We have to make a change in legislation, and we're going to talk about that after the break. When we return from break, we're going to take calls. We're going to open up the phone line, and only for a few calls because I don't want to take up too much time. But if there's anybody that knew Carol Sanders and Audra and you have anything you want to say, if you can briefly call in at this number, 602-354-8823, and I will take your call, give you a few minutes to say what you want to say about Carol or Audra, and then we're going to go back to interviewing Maria and try to get to the bottom of this. How can we keep this from happening again? We need to feel safe. Ladies, if you're in a position in life where you're a mother and you're living with a man who is controlling you, who is verbally abusing you, who is physically abusing you, who is threatening you in any way, I want you to take your heart, your protective feelings for your children, and the love for yourself and those children. I want you to have faith, and I want you to get help at a center such as the Sojourner Center or any other place that you can find. You can find them in the phone book, online, anywhere. Go to a friend's house. Escape. Don't worry about the legalities of it. Save your life and save the life of your child. Don't be too afraid to live, because there's a beautiful world out there, beautiful future. Nobody should suffer at the hand of somebody's anger and control. So think about that. Think about that during the break. We're going to take a few minutes to just collect our thoughts, say a little prayer for Carol and Audra and Tom Fitzpatrick, that their souls are in peace, and we'll be back shortly. Please hang on, because we'll have a lot more valuable information after the break. Thank you for coming to us today and tuning in. We appreciate it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Venus Vault, and thank you for sharing this somber hour with us on Sunday morning. We're hoping to inspire change in the world. We're hoping to protect our beautiful women and children, or anyone that suffers at the hand of abuse. And if we can do anything to help just one soul, we will be really happy about today. And it will bring us some joy, and it'll help alleviate the pain from the loss that we've experienced this week. We do have a caller online. It is a person that was a dear friend of Carol Sanders. Her name is Michelle Coletta. Hey, Michelle, how are you, lovey?
Hi, Cindy. How are you doing?
Good, hon. I love you, and you're a friend of mine too.
Yes, I am.
You're actually my
Very
best.
Much so.
You're my dearest friend, and thank you for your support. You're calling us from out of state today, and you know, we don't have a lot of time because we want to really get as much information we can, but tell me what you want to say today for Carol and for the show.
I want to say I'm a person that supports all my friends in any endeavor in life, whether negative and positive. Carol always called me, and her, like you said, her face was always frightened. Mm-hmm. She knew that Mike would never hurt Audra, mm-hmm. Hence probably why she was at that house that day. Mm-hmm. However, I want to say, which we never did touch on, if he had to see Audra without supervised visits, he would have left with Audra. And me and Carol have talked about that before, and it just came up when I was listening to what you guys were saying.
Yeah, thank you for that
so
feedback.
I thank the Lord that he had to have supervised visits, because he would have left with her. He would have ran. He wouldn't have cared what the cops or anybody said. And Carol knew that. And now she was a woman like me and you, very independent, very smart, very intelligent, and she's a good mom. And when she called me 2 weeks ago, her voice was different. She wasn't sure what she was doing. And I supported her, and I told her, you're a good mom, and you're doing the right thing. Don't worry what happens. I didn't know what to say this time, because most of the years she would tell me, he's going to kill me. We would joke sometimes, like, let's get a hitman. And we would laugh.
Girl, that doesn't sound like too bad of an idea right now. I hate to say it. We're talking
she goes,
about...
Michelle, if I moved with my friends back east that he didn't know, and I changed my name, he would find me, and he would kill me. That was always her words about him. Now, my boyfriend asked me, why am I talking good about Mike in a sense? When she married him, she loved him. He was a good guy. They had a baby. They had a family. Everything was good. Now, if you're picking up on, I don't know if he's good or not, well, at that time she loved him, and he grew angry and angry. The more jobs he lost, the more control he didn't have over them, the more control. She had friends. She had a job. She had a good kid. He had none of that. He didn't have friends.
All he had was control over his family. All he had was control over his family.
And that was his downfall.
And he didn't want to lose it.
Yeah.
And he was so cool in court, remorseful. I understand. I want to move on. I don't have any guns. I sold them all. But when the courts are going to tell him, when someone tells Mike Sanders, you cannot go in your house, you cannot see your daughter, the two things he has control over, I guarantee you he was fuming that whole day. Because that's who he was. You can't tell Mike any different. Even if you know something that he doesn't, he knows.
Well, Michelle,
better than you.
Michelle, I appreciate you calling in today. Is there anything you want to close with? Because we have to get back to some information. No, I understand.
They were wonderful kids. She was an intelligent, bright little girl. She had a beautiful future ahead of her. And Carol was a great mom and friend. And I miss my friend. And I want women to just know, get out. It doesn't matter what the consequences, if you lose your job, whatever. Life will take care of you. The Lord will take care of you.
Amen.
And we're going to try today.
Michelle.
We're going to try to shed some light today and give some women some help out there who were too afraid to leave, like Carol was. And when they finally left, something failed her. We're going to get to the bottom of that, and we're going to try to fix it. Thank you for your call. I love you.
I love you, Cindy. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, honey. Bye. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I want to give you some statistics on domestic violence. 1 in 4 women will be a victim in her lifetime. Believe it or not, that's the way it is. Every 44 minutes, a child in Arizona witnesses abuse in their own home. 37% of emergency room visits are injuries inflicted by a spouse or partner. 2 Arizona women are killed every week by a current or former partner. Every 5 minutes, police respond to domestic violence. So if you think that this story is something that would or should never happen, it does happen. By these statistics, it's happening more than you're aware of.
2 every week, did you say?
It says 2 every week.
That's really depressing.
I mean, it just hit home with us because it's in our city, because it was a personal friend of mine, but it happens, okay? So women, just like Dr. Maria said, she said, recognize that internal feeling in the beginning and get out before it's too late. If you have an abusive situation, get out. Now, Maria, what are some of the early warning signs of abuse?
Thank you. Some of the early signs are, if you think back in your relationship, is this person calling me bad names in front of other friends, making comments about what I'm wearing?
Putting you down,
not allowing you to talk to your friends.
Controlling.
Not allowing you to talk to your family.
Wow. To your family. That's a huge one.
It's a huge isolation of the women.
Any form of control, correct?
Any form of control. And then when the first slap, push,
threaten,
you,
or threaten.
baby, if you wouldn't have done that, Just, in the beginning says, I'm sorry, but baby, you should really understand and also this whole thing of, if you love me enough, you wouldn't.
So
you
using the love to manipulate.
Absolutely. And, remember, domestic violence is a cycle. After the escalation of the abuse comes that I'm sorry, and we call it the honeymoon phase. And women, because they love their man, really believe that they're going to change. So it's a vicious cycle.
Well, you want to see the best in somebody
Absolutely.
that you've invested so much time with, and you feel stupid if all your friends go like, well, why, that was going on the whole time. And you're like, yeah.
Do you think that the thing about abuse really stems from control?
Absolutely. It's control, 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 control.
So when is it time for that woman to leave?
The minute she feels that internal instinct, leave. But if she, stays, the minute she gets that first slap or hit or push, leave.
Yeah.
Leave.
It's only going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. It's going to escalate.
If
Thank you.
Feels comfortable enough to hit you once, he's going to hit you again.
Oh, that's right. I like that, Mike. I really like that.
That's what
so how does the woman do that safely? Because that's the whole gist of it. Carol didn't feel, if she can say to all of her friends, I can't leave or he'll kill me. And then we scratch our heads and say, why?
That's a good question too.
Like why? Why is he going to be allowed to kill you? We live in America. We have a judicial system here. What the hell's going on?
But if you've never lived with someone like that, you can't fathom it.
So how does a woman leave safely?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that for a woman who chooses to leave a domestic violence situation, the minute she leaves, it is the highest risk phase that she has. That is when she's more prone, or she's more likely to be something severe happen like this.
So she needs
it's that time period.
Does she need to leave when are you saying that if he's around and she leaves, she's at risk?
Yeah.
But you're saying that the best thing to do would be to flee when maybe he's at work or gone out?
Not
is
there,
that what we're
somewhere,
suggesting?
Yes. Plan with a friend,
a safe escape.
A safe escape. Talk to your friends, talk to your coworkers, talk to your pastor.
And somebody you would never think that you would go with, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so if you're in her position where you're financially responsible for yourself and your child, then you have to go to work every day. You know that he knows where you work.
I would borrow a friend's car for a week, park at a different spot.
Oh, good suggestion.
Have a ride with a friend and go into a different
Change
entrance.
your car.
Go to work at a different time. If you go in at 9, go in at 8.
Change your routine.
Go an hour early.
Make it seem as if you don't work there anymore.
Change your routine. Change your routine.
You won't see your car in the parking lot.
Because you're talking about, we're dealing with a man that, when you feel that you're that great of risk, it is in fact a risk, and you need to actually change your behavior.
Well, when I was a private investigator, people do the same thing every day, and they don't even think about it. It's a routine. You get in that habit, and that guy probty knew his wife's routine.
Oh, sure, of course he did, and I'm sure he held it over her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talk to your work. Talk about a different kind of schedule. But I love what you said, that at the end, if you're in such fear, who cares if you are going to leave your job? If it means saving your life, who cares? I mean, this wonderful, beautiful woman.
Go sleep on someone's couch.
Absolutely.
And be broke. Homeless on the street.
That's better
you're
than
alive.
broke than dead, yeah.
Well, we don't want you to be homeless on the street. We want you to leave, because if you're, this particular wonderful, beautiful woman was educated, I am sure she could have gotten a job somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's a different situation, but it's this option that women have to make it. It's a difficult one. Do I lose my job, or do I save my life and my child's life? And in this case, she didn't think that this man was going to hurt her child.
There's just people who are evil in the world, and
well, we don't know really what she thought. Everything's an assumption, but we're thinking as mothers, we're thinking of as people that haven't necessarily been involved with domestic violence and abuse. I certainly haven't in my own life, but this is something that we need to think about as a nation. How can we protect ourselves and our beautiful women and children? Also, let's also add that women can also be abusers, and we have men that are suffering at the hand of domestic violence.
I've been punched a couple times.
Well, I mean, it's never going to be okay. I think, like you said,
it's pretty brutal.
Like you said, it stems from a control, and I think that we recognize that nobody is supposed to control us. In a healthy and happy and beautiful relationship, we're not supposed to be controlled, okay? We're supposed to be loved and nurtured and cherished on both ends. This is what we're supposed to give to each other. This is what the human heart does. It isn't ugly. It doesn't hurt. If there is a man in your life or a woman in your life that's abusive, I want to still stress, Carol was scared. Carol did not go to somewhere like the Sojourner House. Where did the judicial system let us down? In this case, with Carol, why didn't the police intervene when he, a month ago, put them into the desert and put them in harm's way? Is it because it's hearsay? Is there anything that we can do to make that change? Maria.
And I think we talked a little bit about this before. It really, if she did not charge and make charges, and say, arrest this man, this is what he did, and speak to their daughter too, then the police really have no knowledge. They can't act. And so that's the difficult piece.
And would a woman keep herself from that? Because ultimately she's going to be safe if he's behind bars, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
But how many women don't press charges?
Many women.
And the reason for that is what? Because
there's fear and control. I mean, this man has brainwashed a woman to think that she's got no power over him.
Well, that's why it doesn't in most
that's the key.
domestic abuse case or domestic violence calls, police have to arrest somebody now, right? Isn't that the situation?
If it's a domestic violence call, yes.
Yeah, they have to.
If somebody witnesses it, that's the thing.
No, if there's a call for domestic violence, they have to they have to determine who's at fault, and they will arrest the person, take them out of there.
Well,
right?
in this situation, they're out in the desert. Nobody's going to see anything. So after the fact, you can't call anybody.
Well, she could have called when they got back to the house.
She could have.
She could have.
But not me or you or, is what she's saying. Yeah. All right, so what we're going to do, let's think about this, guys. Let's put our heads together, what we can give our listening audience. Some strength, some hope. Let's make some value out of this terrible loss. Let's create something, at least some change in the world. Let's do something to move forward in the direction to help protect our women and our children and our men that are suffering at the hand of abuse. Okay, guys, we have a few minutes to come up with a miracle. You think we can do it?
Amen.
Let's
Absolutely.
try. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please stay tuned. We will be coming back after a short break to discuss solutions and just finish up our thought processes for our lovely friends who lost their lives on Tuesday night. Have a quick break, and then we'll be right back with you. Thank you for continuing to listen. Welcome back, everybody. We've had a quick brainstorming session and a couple of things. We want to recap some of the things that we discussed in this hour because our hour is quickly closing, but it's such an important subject. I would love for you to share this show. We're going to be posting it on our YouTube page. It's the Venus Vault Radio Show. You can Google it. You can find all of our information. We also have a Facebook page and a website, thevenusvault.com. So quickly, Maria, in recapping, a couple of things to go over to refresh everyone's mind. We have to remember, why does a woman get in this position in the first place? The fact is that men can be wonderful and charming, and our hearts fall in love. That's the first thing that occurs before any abuse, before any threat or anything. We are in love. Once our hearts are attached, then, the man who is going to be an abuser starts control, correct?
Control.
It can start, then he may start verbal abuse, such as putting you down. There may not be any physical abuse, or a threat of, I don't want you to be with your friends.
Telling you what to wear, how to spend your money.
Yeah, how
subtle ways.
Yeah, putting you down with what you look like. All right, so that's the first sign. Now it can escalate. It can escalate then into pushing, shoving. Oh, we drink too much, we slap your face. Oh, but it's an excuse because this charming man also is a manipulative man.
Extremely.
Correct? Now, Mike Sanders was extremely manipulative. He had everybody thinking that he was this wonderful, doting father. And in fact, I witnessed it myself. He was. I didn't know what was going on behind closed doors except what Carol said to me. I didn't see that. So the listener is going to ask themselves, how does a wonderful, intelligent, smart woman be attracted to someone in the first place that could do this? Because I think what I'm thinking is you don't see it in the beginning.
Absolutely not.
Manipulators usually tend to be good with women. Find out what you like.
Great
Find out what you love.
actors, right?
Charming.
Great
Charming.
actors.
Sociopaths, yeah.
Social
Men and
path,
women are like that too.
Okay, so then we move on to the next phase. We are now knowing that we're being controlled. Okay, we're not getting abused, we're being controlled. We want to keep our wits about us, correct?
Absolutely.
We now have children. We're seeing that the kids are getting controlled. We don't like that. How comfortable are we with that? We have to discern that ourselves. The next thing, are we being put down? You're saying to me that that's when a woman, when she starts to get put down emotionally, that's when we should think about this is not something that will be good, because you're saying that by what you've seen and statistically it will escalate.
It will escalate. It will escalate, and it will only escalate and get worse, especially after he pushes you that first time, slaps you, does something. What happens if you don't do something, if you don't feel empowered to do something, if you don't have that internal, kind of self assurance that you need to do something, it will only escalate. It's kind of like a license to continue this abuse.
So if they hit you once, it's a license to hit you again.
Yeah, that's how they feel.
Okay. Now, what I've seen is you don't necessarily have the man being able to get away with this, with a powerful, fiery, fighting back woman. Sometimes they may pick out the meeker, softer women. Most women are soft, but I mean, I'm sure that they go after a certain type of woman? Do you need? So you could be the most powerful woman in the.
Look at your friend.
Yeah, that's
powerful, wonderful, beautiful women.
Educated.
Mm-hmm. And there's women of all creeds that are impacted with this issue.
What a guy does, though, too, is he'll find someone's weak spot, and then he'll exploit that weak spot.
Yes. Now
he tears her personality down. Remember, he does brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
It is
because it's about control.
Absolutely, anything that he could do to control this woman, to put her down, to have complete domain over her and her children.
And also in society, and I saw this from doing the story, I see that there's like a black cloud of almost a veil of shame around domestic abuse in America, where I've gotten more support when I'm talking about what do men really want in a relationship behind a show. I mean, I've had thousands of listeners on that show because that's fun. So when people don't want to discuss this, they don't want to talk about it. And if you are the abused person, imagine how that may feel. It's almost like you have a disease. I'm afraid to go and tell anybody because what kind of woman am I to have attracted this kind of man? That's what's going on in their mind, right?
That's a good point.
Very
good point.
So they don't feel, and especially an educated woman possibly, and a very good mother in society, good standing, beautiful home. She doesn't want to make herself look tainted either. But here's the thing. If it's never okay for you to be abused, period. So when we find ourselves in the abusive situation like Carol did, our next step then would be you either call the police if you are in fact threatened or hit, or you know what I mean? That's call the police, get his behind bars. And while he's behind bars, pack your bags and hit that road.
Get out.
Commit fully to it. Don't do it half,
Get out.
You have friends, you have family, you have shelters. You're telling us that you can stay at the Sojourner Center for 120 days. That man's not going to know where you are if you're at the Sojourner Center.
No,
okay?
120, and if you want, you can stay there for 2 years longer after that. So we have transitional. So it is a robust program, and it's gated, so nobody can come in.
No one can. If he shows up there, they can't. They will not say if anyone's there, no matter who you are. It doesn't
now, are
matter.
you going to get fed there as
Absolutely.
well? So if you have to give up your job, your wife and kids are going to get fed. Okay.
It gives you a time to regroup. For an educated woman who's got regroup.
Maybe look for a job. Maybe just walk off your job then.
Claim your power back.
Yeah, because
claim your power back.
Well, her power she probably found within that job of hers, within that financial support, within that future she had, probably retirement and everything, because she had a great job. I mean, these are things I'm thinking about were going on in her mind, right?
But now what? That's nothing.
Right. I understand. I understand.
But no, I mean now that because she was afraid. That's just people are afraid to admit that there's something wrong in their life, and then it's because they think other people are going to look down on them, and that's what some people do sometimes too.
So what she's going to do when you ever in your lives come across a friend or yourself that finds yourself in a situation where someone says, "I'm afraid of my partner," what you need to do is support them to find a center. Any city in America is going to have a place such as a Sojourner Center. Now, the Sojourner Center is one of the largest and one of the best reputations, but they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
You need to find a center that can take you in anywhere, a shelter, anywhere. And I'm going to give you, before we close, Maria's going to give you the contact information for the center. If you need to, donate to the center, because I'm sure that they need help. And also, I wanted to tell you, the family of Audra Sanders and Carol needs help financially, okay? Because there's a lot of expenses, that have come up from the loss. So if you're interested in donating on their behalf, please contact Audra's school, and that's the Desert Shadows Middle School, and you're going to ask for the PTO department, and then they can give you information if you wanted to donate to the family. And then before we close, we're going to give you information about the Sojourner Center. If you want to donate to the Sojourner Center to, just support what they're doing, because it's an amazing service. And also, So we find ourselves in a situation where we've gone through the steps. We see what abuse is, correct? We've gone over that. We know where we can go. Okay, now you're in the Sojourner Center. You're with your child. You've got these. You have to basically, when you're in fear of your life, you're saying, quit the job, stop the routine. He cannot know where to find you. You're going to forget even about the legalities of the child situation.
We'll help you with that.
Okay, they're going to help. So you're not going to worry about that.
No, we'll help you with that because we understand you're in crisis. So we'll help you plan. We're going to give you a little safe haven.
Okay.
And then we'll help you plan safety, legal, any issues.
What a phenomenal facility.
Thank you. So you're going to be fed. You're going to have support. You're going to be hidden. And you are not going to have to worry for the next 120 days at least what you're going to do next. What you're going to do is you're going to gain your strength back. You're going to make a game plan along with the facility. They're going to help you and other women that are going through what you're going through and other children. And you're not going to worry about the legalities of it either. You're not going to worry about, oh, he's got partial custody. I can't legally do that. Because you're going to work it out. And if you're doing this for this reason, you want to survive. That's why you're going to do it, okay?
Absolutely. And you're not going to have to go back to your home because we provide beds, shampoos, anything. If you're walking out without anything, we will provide you with everything.
And if you ever need to go back to a home in which you suffered at the hand of abuse or a threat of death, what Maria is saying is, don't you dare go back.
No.
Don't you dare go back. You don't care what the judge says. You don't care what the attorneys say. You don't care even what your children say. You don't care about hidden money in a safe that's $1 million. Because your life is worth more. And you do not know. I will tell you the background of this story. The man kind of hoodwinked everybody that morning and said, I'm in support of her leaving. I'm in support of her getting herself. I will not be in the home. There was an order of protection against him. He drove down the street so that they didn't see his car. He waited for them to get home. He told the neighbor, I'm in front of your house because I have some I have teenagers messing with my home and I want to keep an eye on them. They're doing graffiti. Do you mind if I park in front of your house for a few hours? And so the neighbor came out and said this. He premeditated this, okay? She knew there was an imminent death threat. She knew that. But on this particular moment, she did feel safe because her brother was there, because her child was with her. She didn't know that he would completely snap. This was completely premeditated what he did. And he did not intend to just take one life. He knew what he was going there to do. So in order to prevent this in the future, you're saying don't you ever go back to that house under any circumstances. I don't even care with a police escort. Don't do it because you can go to a center. If it's not the Sojourner Center, you go to another center. You go to a friend's house because anybody is going to help support you.
Absolutely.
Anybody's going to support you. In any city in America, there's going to be somebody.
Well, if your friends won't, turn to, sometimes strangers are kinder than friends, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Your church, too.
Okay. So, Maria, I really appreciate you coming in today. Is there anything, we only have 2 minutes left with this hour. I would like to say God rest Carol and Audra's souls. I hope that you have found your beautiful peace in heaven, that you are holding hands, that you are smiling down upon us, and that you have found your bliss walking through the tulips, girls, running through the streams, and that you are happy because you have found your peace of mind and your joy. And I am so grateful to have known your beautiful souls. I'm so glad to have seen your beautiful faces. Thank you for the time that you were here. Maria, do you have anything that you would like to add in closing?
Absolutely. I want to encourage any woman who finds herself in this situation to please call the Sojourner Center. Our number is 1-888-886-8793. That's 1-888-886-8793. And please, 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 as a society, we need to stop blaming the women because we only tear their voices down and they don't want to speak up.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Do you have anything you'd like to add in closing?
Just what I've observed, through the years is that they think they're not powerful, but they're actually some of the most powerful souls I have ever met. They have so much strength inside of them, actually more so than some of the other people that have, just walk on the street and have regular lives. Because, when they get to the other side of it, they change everybody's life. They impact everybody. And, they bring such huge change into the world. So they're not they're very powerful.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, just, I mean, with my daughter and everything, that's what I always worry about with her. And we talked about, like, just the way society treats women. It's just brutal. Is it worse in other states or no? I'm sorry.
No. I think it's across the country that way. But
Thank you guys for this hour with me. We're going to close up the show. Log on to Google for the Venus Vault Show, any information, and join us next week. Thank you so much for spreading awareness about this cause. We appreciate you being with us today. Have a beautiful Sunday.